Hi, I'm Steve Murphy, and this is the Insider Exclusive. We're doing a special show today on Los Angeles City Attorney's Office featuring Rocky Delgadillo. Stay tuned. You're going to learn a lot.
That community that I grew up in, Highland Park, is still under the siege of gangs, and I don't want any kid to have to grow up in a neighborhood like that one. You get a menu as a sixth grader of 7 gangs, and you have to choose one of them, otherwise you will not be safe. Gangs are coming to a neighborhood near you. The world is flat for them too. They're on MySpace. They're killing kids for their iPods. We have to work hard to solve these problems in all of our communities. Otherwise, we will be doomed.
And now I'm pleased to have our special guest, Rocky Delgadillo.
Great to see you.
Welcome to our show.
Thank you very much.
He's Los Angeles City Attorney, and you're in the news all the time, aren't you?
Well, I'm trying to do good things for the people of this city, so I want to tell people about it.
And we appreciate that.
Yeah.
You know? Some of the things that you're involved with right now focus on the anti-gang campaigns, right?
Right. Well, you know, gangs are a nationwide crisis.
Yes.
There are 800,000 gang members in America today. That's half our standing military. At the same time, there are fewer or less state and local police officers, so we're outnumbered. And Los Angeles has been the cradle for gangs from the beginning. Unfortunately, they were born here.
Is that right?
Yeah, and we're outnumbered. We've been outnumbered for a long time here, but we're taking back ground.
And what kind of programs do you have in effect that are actually handling that? And before we get into that,
right.
Isn't the district attorney's office also involved in prosecuting some of these cases, the felony cases? Your office prosecutes misdemeanor cases.
Correct.
Do they work together with you in this anti-gang program?
All the prosecutors in our jurisdiction are now working together. The DA, the U.S. Attorney, the Attorney General's office, all of us are working together because this is a crisis.
Yes.
And we need to take back our streets. I do prosecute 90,000 misdemeanors in the city of Los Angeles every year, and then a large number of felonies that would be wobblers, other places. I get cross-designated by some of those other prosecutors because they can't handle the load, and I've tried to be innovative and strategic in the way that we use our resources so that we keep our community safe.
You said earlier that the population of the gangs is increasing.
Yes.
Okay, you grow up in East LA, and you came from East LA, didn't you?
I grew up on the east side of Los Angeles and lived with the gangs. That community that I grew up in, Highland Park, is still under the siege of gangs. Under the siege of gangs, actually, that my father grew up with.
Yes.
So it's multi-generational, and I don't want any kid to have to grow up in a neighborhood like that one.
Well, let's talk about kids when they go to school. I think it starts from the elementary school.
Right.
A kid sometimes is forced to choose a group just to get to school,
Right.
isn't he?
Well, we've seen it happen. I mean, at Markham Middle School in South LA, near the Watts Towers, you could see them from the school, the Watts Towers. I've said that middle school is a government-funded gang recruitment center because when you show up there, you get a menu as a sixth grader of 7 gangs, and you have to choose one of them, otherwise you will not be safe.
What do you mean you get a menu?
Basically, there are 7 gangs that operate at that school, and if you do not belong to one of them, then you probably will not survive.
So what does a kid do today? I mean, seriously.
I think a kid has to reach out to adults. Hopefully it is their parents.
Yes.
But there may be other adults out there that they
But
can
here's the
reach out to.
problem. They're going to school, their parents can't move, they've got to go to school. So that's kind of not a solution.
Right.
What do you say to that kid?
What I say to that kid is, come to us. I actually put 2
Do you
prosecutors.
have kids?
Yeah, I put two prosecutors on site at Markham Middle
That's your
School.
neighborhood prosecution?
It's part of it. It's an addition to that program. We've taken neighborhood prosecutors and put them right on the school. They go to work every day at the school.
The prosecutors?
The prosecutors.
You're kidding me.
Right, no, I'm not.
Well, where are they, like in the administration building?
They actually sit, there's a small classroom that they use, or an office that they use with, with the school police.
This is at the Markham
At Markham Middle School.
One school in LA.
One school, although I'm now going to go to 3 other schools in the city of Los Angeles, and I'm hoping to get to every high school.
Are the kids coming to these people?
We have discovered that when you take adults and put them into a child's life, where there have been few before, they respond. Kids in neighborhoods like Watts and East LA and places in between are just yearning for attention. They just want somebody to care about them. And when you do, they respond.
So a kid comes to one of your prosecutors and said, I have a problem.
I have a problem.
I have to choose.
Right.
I walked to school yesterday, I got beat up. I walked home, I got beat up.
Right.
What is that prosecutor going to do?
We'll help you. We'll do some specific things, like maybe get you a school uniform so you don't have to wear colors or even be concerned about what colors you wear, so that we can remove you from the victim pool.
Are there kids getting school uniforms?
Yes, there are. In fact, at Markham, I've now agreed by next fall to buy every kid there 2 uniforms. So, and we'll also help enforce the uniform policy,
right.
so that the kids that go to school there, while they're at school and on their way to and from school, they won't be victims because of what they wear.
Let me ask you this question. Los Angeles probably is about the same size as New York, population-wise. We have half the number of police.
Correct.
And I often wonder, I've read in the LA Times, a week ago, there were 8 policemen making over $200,000 a year. You read the
overtime,
same article,
right?
Right, $131,000
right.
of overtime.
Right.
That would pay for 2 normal police officers. Why aren't police officers being hired?
Well, we have the money.
Yes.
So we have the money to hire more police officers.
So let me make this clear. You got the money.
We have the money now. We haven't always had it, but we have it now. And part of it is that it's tough to find individuals who will come work for the city of Los Angeles or any police agency. The agencies across the country are suffering the same plight. That, you know, will come to a place like LAPD, put their lives on the line every day, and maybe not be treated with the greatest level of respect in those communities. But I got to tell you, it's one of the best jobs anyone could ever have. You can save children's lives. You could save communities. We've seen it happen. And working with us, I have my prosecutors too. As you hire more police, you need more prosecutors.
Sure.
So we get more of those. And they, as I said, they walk the beat. I have them out there walking, talking to people. And we're starting to build a different level of trust between the neighborhoods and our prosecutors and police departments, so that we are actually improving the crime situation. And LA, over the last 5 years, is one of the few places in America where crime continues to go down.
Really?
Yeah.
Because the violence level is increasing, isn't it?
Yeah, I think you're hearing more about it.
Yes.
The violence happens in places like South LA and East LA and Pacoima and Wilmington. And if you don't live there, you probably say, I'll never go there, so I'm never going to experience it. But you know what? Gangs are coming to a neighborhood near you. The world is flat for them too. They're on MySpace. They're killing kids for their iPods.
Yeah. It was tennis shoes, what, 20 years ago?
Right, but you know, now they're interacting with Hollywood. They were shooting at a party after an awards ceremony the other day. It's so they've moved out of the neighborhood and they're coming to a neighborhood near you. So you better care about it. And you can't just build bigger walls and get more security guards. That's not the answer. We have to be a community. We're all in this together, and we better figure that out right now.
Do you have a lot of community meetings with, you know, your prosecutors, getting out in the community, so that they hold kind of like town meetings, so that people can, you know, give their input about what's going on in their neighborhood, and feel that they're, you know, being responded to?
I'll put it to you this way. When the neighborhood prosecutors came to me to be interviewed for the job, I said to them, this is not a 9-to-5 job. It's a 5-to-9 job. You're going to be meeting with the community when they can meet with you, on the weekends, after hours, and when they can give you meaningful input, because 9 to 5, they're not there. They're out working and earning a living and pursuing that American dream. Well, I want to know what they think about after hours. And so these folks literally do walk the beat. They will knock on doors. They will hold community meetings.
The prosecutors.
And they're prosecutors.
Really?
Right. They wear badges, but they also wear suits. And it does give our communities a sense that we care about them, because there's a prosecutor right there in their neighborhood.
Prosecutors got to watch out, don't they, for these gang members?
Well, you look, we've got some very talented individuals, and we also got some great people to protect us. You know, Chief Bratton is a great guy to have on your side, and I don't feel any concern, because I got a guy like that protecting me. But on the other hand, look, these are real individuals who have families, who have children. I've got 2 little boys and a beautiful wife, and I want to make sure that they have a bright future. So we're going to be as careful as we can, but still, we have to work hard to solve these problems in all of our communities. Otherwise, we will be doomed.
How do you reach out to the gang members that have already been brought into the gang? They want to leave, but they can't. They fear, you know, getting harmed, getting killed, whatever. Would you have a program to reach out to them?
We do have some intervention programs, what I really call them prevention programs,
Yeah.
even if they're in. I mean, look, joining a gang is like jumping into an abyss.
Yeah.
Hard to pull you out.
Sure.
Very hard. But I have to say to every gang member who's thinking about it, staying in the gang, more dangerous than getting out. And we can help you. We've got a job training program for you. We can get you into classes, into school. We can get you out. We can help you. And we're going to get better and better at that. But the most important thing is you got to prevent every kid, every 12-year-old today, from deciding to even join a gang.
If there's a gang member that's watching this later on and they're thinking, you know, I made a mistake, I got to get out of there, can they call your office?
Absolutely. Call our office and we will help you.
What is your phone number there, by the way?
1-877-LA-CARES. 1-877-LA-CARES.
That's a great number.
That's a good number. You'll get a message on it. Leave the message. We'll call you back.
And they have no fear of reprisal. They've been involved with some crime. They're going to be looked at a little bit more leniency?
Well, here's what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Is if they have a serious desire to leave that life, we will work with them.
Okay.
Now, if they've done bad things, they've done bad things.
Got to be accountable.
And look, you got to be accountable. When you decide to join a gang, you've decided to join a gang.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, you got to be clear about this. And I want every other 12-year-old out there right now, an 11-year-old, to not decide to join a gang. Don't do it because it's not worth the risk.
That's the age group that you're focusing on right now.
Yeah.
Is that the age group of initiation usually?
Well, it's getting younger and younger.
Right.
Some people will say now it's moving down to 10, 9 years old. The point is that all of us, all adults, you know, it takes a village.
Right.
All of us have to start focusing on our kids and noticing when they do things that might lead to delinquent behavior.
Right.
And in fact, we have a program now where we hold parents accountable for sending their kids to school.
Making sure they get there.
Yeah, well, but staying in.
Yes.
Chronic absenteeism, truancy, is one of the most likely predictors of gang membership. My gang prosecutors always tell me they've never known a gang member who wasn't first a truant. They cut class first, then they join gangs. So I figure, keep them in class, keep them out of gangs. And it's working. We've dealt with, go ahead.
The gang problem, it's spread across the ethnic groups. We see it in the African American community.
Sure.
We see it in the Hispanic community.
Right.
We see it in even the Korean community.
Right, everywhere.
What do you say to the parents? What aren't the parents doing to prevent their kids from joining gangs?
Well, look, you got to be a good parent. It doesn't matter who you are. I don't care what your ethnic background is. You got to be a good parent. One of the things we've learned in this truancy program, by holding parents accountable, is that some of these parents do not have the right skill sets. And most parents learn from their parents about how to be a good parent.
Are we talking about a lot of immigrants?
It's an immigrant population,
yes.
Largely. But you know, these are this basic skill sets. I'll give you an example. When we deal with the truancy program, we ask the parents to come to an assembly. So they've been threatened to send a letter that says you're going to go to jail unless your kid's in school. We say it nicer than that, but that's what we say.
Yeah.
So they show up. They show up to the assembly. But when they come to that assembly, they're really upset. Because they say, why are you holding me accountable for the actions of my child?
You're kidding me.
No, I'm not. And our retort is not, you should be accountable, you should be responsible. Our retort is this. Did you have a conversation with your child today? And they'll say, what do you mean? Have you talked to your child today? And they'll say, well, I don't even know where he or she is.
Yeah.
I said, that's the point.
Yeah.
You need some basic skills, and let's get them for you. So in fact, in this program, out of 25,000 chronic truants that we've dealt with, I prosecuted 14 parents, and almost all of them got a year's worth of parenting classes because that's what they needed.
That's what they got. Where are these parenting classes given?
Well, they get at the adult schools in LA Unified School District. At night classes, they can get parenting skills. Frankly, I think they should be in the classroom. You should be learning them when you're a teenager.
Now, as you said, the gang problem is a crisis.
Right.
Do you see it diminishing through some of the programs that you have?
We feel pretty excited about a couple facts. 5 years ago when I started, we had 8 gang injunctions, 8 gangs under injunction in the city of LA.
And injunction for our viewers means a group of identifiable kids can't meet together, what, more than 2 people at
No,
once?
yeah, you can't associate with each other in public. You can't have cell phones. You have a curfew. There's lots of different things.
You can't have a cell phone?
You can't. It's certain gang and junction areas, if that's what you use.
Oh, so there's marked off areas.
It's a
neighborhood.
we call it a safety zone. Outside the safety zone, you do what you
do
want.
whatever you want.
In that safety zone, which is your neighborhood, you can't do these certain things. So we now have 50 gangs.
Have people, you know, challenge this in the court?
They have challenged it in the court. The ACLU has been very aggressive in trying to throw them out because
It's a better thing to do.
well, you know, they say we're abridging the civil liberties
Yeah.
of these gang members, but I say to them, who's looking out for the civil liberties of the grandmothers
Exactly.
who live in these neighborhoods,
Exactly.
who won't come outside their doors because there are gang members hanging out on the corner? 50 gangs under injunction today. There will be more soon. From that
There's
time when we
50
started.
designated areas in Los Angeles.
Well, actually, there are about 33 designated areas, but some gangs are in the same area, so there are up to 50 gangs.
Where are some of the worst areas to avoid traveling in Los Angeles?
Well, you know what?
So I don't run through
I
those.
wouldn't say. You know, this is my point. Is
Yeah.
that I wouldn't say avoid them.
Yeah.
I would say go there.
Yeah.
Because if you're part of the community, you should go there, and if you do, you will understand the problem better, and you might actually have an idea for us, and you
Yes.
might be willing to. In this beautiful community, this city of dreamers, we might be able to bring something together that will actually lift us all up. And so we're hopeful. Look, when I started, there were 57,000 gang members in the city of LA. Today, there are 39,000.
Really?
Still way too
That
many.
that many
Still-
died?
Well, some did, but most of it was
Yeah.
kids making a different choice.
Excellent.
Yeah,
Excellent.
and also, you know, be mindful of this. You know, gang members, all experts will tell you, they have a shelf life.
Yes.
They start about the
Right.
mid-teens and they end about the mid-20s or
Yeah.
so, give or take a year.
That's a tragedy.
It is a tragedy. But if that is the case,
Mm-hmm.
and we were able to get every kid today to never make that first decision of joining a gang in the city of LA, then we've got a decade-long problem.
Yes.
And I could live with that.
Yeah.
And we should all be
How much longer are you
focused
going to
on
be
that.
city attorney?
Well, at least 2 more years, but we're going to fight hard.
Speaking of your aspirations
Sure, right.
in government,
Yeah.
where do you see yourself after here?
Well, I hope I'm in some place where I can continue to make a big difference.
Any particular title to that office?
No, I mean, look, I learned a long time ago
Yeah.
from my mentors that the best source of new work
Mhm.
is the work on your desk.
Mhm.
Do that really well, and the future will take care of itself.
Who were some of your mentors?
Warren Christopher has been my mentor for a long time.
Mhm.
Former Mayor Dick Reardon has also been a mentor of mine. Obviously, my parents,
Sure.
my mom and dad have been extraordinary people, loving, caring, tough.
Yeah.
And that, you know, I've learned a lot from those individuals.
When I was growing up, you're talking about, you know, you asked the parents if you talked to your kid today.
Yeah.
My mother walked from the school where I was, a junior high school, home to see how long it would take to get home. We were required to get home within that time frame, and if
Exactly.
we weren't, you know,
Right.
we got in trouble.
Well, actually, and you knew that though.
Yeah.
Right. And your
And I thanked
mom.
them. I
right.
hated them then, but I,
But yeah, you did. But
Yeah.
you were constantly thinking about it as a child, and,
Yeah.
and all your mom did is walk that once.
Yeah.
Right. That's all she did, and you knew
yeah.
that was the way it was going to work.
You
And that's
pro-
what we're asking these adults to do.
You prosecute civil cases too.
We do.
What kind of cases are you your office prosecuting right now?
Well, a number of them.
There's one that I read recently, the
Right.
asbestos case.
Right.
Would you care to comment on that?
Sure. This is a building owner who was demolishing a building.
Now,
Oh,
you've
that's-
indicted this company or individual, right?
I've brought an action against them for violating our city codes, and we're hopeful that they'll do the right thing.
Okay.
And that's what we're asking them to do.
Which is what?
Which is
Clean it
to
up.
clean up their act, probably, well, first of all, never do it again,
Sure.
and then help us educate other people who are in the same business and make sure they don't make those same mistakes.
What are some of the other cases that your office generally gets involved in?
Well, you know, one that you probably have heard about is this sort of terrible tragedy. It really is a symptom of a problem in our healthcare system where homeless patients are dumped on the Skid Row
Oh my
here.
God, I heard about
in
this guy that had the...
He's a paraplegic.
Yes.
He's getting care
Okay.
from County USC Hospital.
Are hospitals traditionally dumping patients that are uninsured on Skid Row?
We think this is a bigger problem than anybody had ever thought before. We had last year 55 incidences that we
Same
investigated.
Right.
We have now about 3 to 5 that we're actually in the process of working up potential prosecutions. Hollywood Presbyterian Hospital is one of those.
Really?
Kaiser Permanente, we've already filed against for this woman, Caroline Reyes, who was dumped in front of the Union Rescue Mission. Had never been there before in her hospital gown and socks, basically.
Let me ask you something.
Sure.
A lot of these hospitals are for-profit, obviously. Kaiser Permanente, Hollywood Presbyterian. You have somebody who can't pay, okay? This is a healthcare crisis in America today.
Right.
What does that hospital do with that person?
That hospital, under federal law and state law as well, is required to treat that individual.
Okay.
We made a collective decision as a country.
As a society.
As a society,
Yeah.
that this is an important thing, and that our hospitals are going to stand for the highest level of humanity, right? Human decency. And so we're going to treat people, even if they can't pay. But every patient that goes to a hospital should be treated the same, regardless of their ability to pay. And so when you're discharged, even after you receive services, you should get a discharge plan, like you or I would get.
Sure.
And all the characteristics about that individual should be taken into account, including whether or not that person has a home to go to.
What about some other cases that you're handling? Areas that you're looking to improve the city.
Well, environmental justice is another one where
Okay.
poor neighborhoods throughout the city of Los Angeles have been dumped on, literally, with respect to the kinds of uses that are occurring there. Give you an example: a chrome plating facility across the street from 28th Street Elementary School, literally across from the play yard.
Don't tell me.
Across from the play yard.
They dump.
Well, they were dumping things like cyanide and chromium into the alley behind their business, because normally you'd have to dispose of that a different way, more expensive. We did one raid, one investigation, one day, 10 counts in one day. We filed against them. They've been there for 2 or 3 decades.
Now,
And
is this a civil case or is it a criminal case?
Criminal and civil, we do mix them together.
But this would be considered a felony, wouldn't it?
Well, these were not. These were a series of 10 misdemeanor charges. This is a business, and they were supposed to store their hazardous materials differently, and those are the counts we got them on. But I got to tell you what, the way that community dealt with it in the past was through the school nurse, because all the kids had asthma.
Right.
And there's a high
Now,
incidence
this must
of
be a
asthma.
class action suit.
Well, that might happen.
Yeah.
But even in that world, there hasn't been enough attention paid to poor communities, because no one believes that we should do anything to help them.
Right.
But having grown up in one of them.
And speaking of that, Highland
Right.
Park is
Right.
where you grew up.
Right.
I understand they have one of the worst gang problems in L.A.
They do have one of the worst. Certainly the Avenues gang is the gang that I grew up with and my dad grew up with. Highland Park gang is the gang that I grew up with. They are amongst the most difficult gangs in the city of Los Angeles. But we're trying a new strategy. And with them in particular, we're now going after their headquarters in a civil action. So this is another civil action, but it has a criminal impact. We're treating their properties as a nuisance.
So you're taking their property.
We're trying to take their
Are
property.
these houses generally?
I'll give you an example. The Avenues had a headquarters in a neighborhood called the Drew Estara neighborhood of Glassell Park near Highland Park, right next to it. The home was called the Satellite House because it had 2 satellite dishes on it.
Were they watching TV or looking out for the cops?
Who knows, but I'm sure it wasn't just the Dish Network they were getting. They had a laser tripwire in front, surveillance camera system.
They got a lot of money.
A lot of money, and they were selling drugs. It was an in and out for drug sales. I shut down or barricaded that headquarters about a few months ago, and it was amazing, because I was sitting there and all the gang members were out there watching us as we barricaded this building, shut down their headquarters. And I said to all of them at the press conference, I said, look, you're the gang that I dealt with when I was a kid. So I said, you got to be careful who you pick on when you're a kid, because I'm now shutting down your headquarters. And we think it has had a significant impact on their activities because they have no place to organize.
Excellent.
You know, it's like if your headquarters, if they took it away, what would you do? It would be tougher, right? The same is true for gangs.
Here's a question for you. We talk about prevention. We talk about, shutting these down. Many of these people, they go to jail, they get out.
Right.
Okay. What is your attitude towards some of these people who maybe want to go straight? Or how do you prevent recidivism with these kind of people? Do you work with these?
Well, we've got one of the highest recidivism rates, I think, in the country. I think it's close to 70%.
In LA?
In the state of California.
Really?
The state of California.
And this is a problem because the prisons are filled.
Well, they're filled, but also we don't do a good job.
In the prison?
Well, we haven't brought any of our systems up to date. You know, it's a new economy. It's a global economy. It's a different place today, different society today.
Right.
The punishment we have for dealing with crime is 1,000 years old.
Yes.
More than that, maybe. Who knows?
Throw them in a dungeon.
Right, throw them in a dungeon. That's what we're doing. Instead of, let's try to now figure out a way to transition this person back in. They're going to come back.
Yes.
We're going to have to deal with them. So let's make sure that they have a choice to do something different. But I got to tell you, it's not one of the best solutions for us because we're sending these gang members in particular to prison or to jail, and quite often when they get out, they're better at it than when they went in.
Sure.
So what are they going to choose? They're going to choose what they're good at.
Yeah.
So let's make sure they're good at something else, and that choice is a better choice for them.
So does the city of Los Angeles have like training programs? Because the federal government prohibits many of these convicted people from getting student loans to learn a new trade, especially if they were convicted for drugs. Does the city of Los Angeles have a program, like a trade program, where they can learn something new?
Well, we have that in my office right now. That is run by Jewish Vocational Services. Anybody who wants to go through and get job training, and it's case management work. So this is, you know,
so you're meeting with somebody
rehab.
individually.
Well, but it's kind of like rehab. You know, every day you're getting a call from somebody that says, "How you doing today?
Yes.
You know, are you going to work? Or are you going to school? Whatever it is, going to training." And that has seems to be effective so far.
Is this a program you put into effect when you?
Yeah, I call it First Chance.
Really?
And the reason why I call it First Chance is because there's a priest in Los Angeles, Father Boyle, who deals a lot with gang members.
Yes.
And he has been quoted as saying that I'm a prosecutor who's willing to give gang members a second chance. And I always say I can't give them a second chance until they've had a first chance.
Right.
And that's what I'm giving them in this program,
Sure.
First Chance. And if they seize it,
Yes.
if they take it, then I'm going to do all I can to make sure that they have a chance at that American dream.
You know, I'm glad you're on the show, and I'll tell you why. Not too many prosecutors have your kind of attitude.
Well, thank
you. You know, because you're really thinking about society here. You know, if you're able to rescue somebody, turn them around, be a contributing member of society, you've really helped a lot.
Well, what I'm trying to do, and I say to my prosecutors, I want to work ourselves out of a job.
Do you really?
And most prosecutors are all about the notches on the belt,
Sure.
but the conviction rate is about, look, if we see all this stuff coming, we're at the tail end of all the bad stuff.
Sure.
We get it at the end,
Yeah.
right? Then we're smart. We should be smart anyway. I don't know if I am, but the people that work for me are. And if they get that stuff, they should be able to step around in front and prevent it from happening.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm asking them to do, and they're doing it. These incredible individuals who are identifying new and different ways of going after gangs or polluters or anybody that is damaging our neighborhoods. They're doing it in a way that, you know, I would have never imagined could have happened before, but it's happening.
Well, thank God for what you're doing.
Thank
and I want to thank you very much for being on the show.
Thanks
I hope
again,
to have you
Steve.
back again sometime.
I'd love to come back. Thank you.
It's
All right,
been a
great.
pleasure.
Same here.
Thank you for joining us on the Insider Exclusive. You can see more of these shows at www.insiderexclusive.com. I'm Steve Murphy. I'll see you next time.